We're back for another one of these videos that I like to do, breaking down the sound design of an Overwatch hero. This time our subject is Freja, or Freja, for my Great Danes out there. Freja is a high-tech bounty hunter. She's quick, she's agile, and everything about her sound design was trying to reinforce that fantasy. So Freja is the third Overwatch hero I've done a sound kit for, and with all three, the first thing that I hit is Foley and footsteps. The reason being that work is actually really time-consuming and a bit tedious. You got to find the right materials, you got to get the right shoes, you got to record it all, so we're recording every type of movement the character can do in the game. So run, walk, crouch, jump, jump land, fall loop, fall land, pivot, and there's probably more that I'm not remembering right now, but it's a lot. It's a lot of work, but once that work is front-loaded and it's in the game and it's working, character suddenly comes to life. It goes from like a silent 3D model in a game to something that feels tactile and grounded and real. We have some whooshy cloth, some more leather bits from like Ren Fair costume, a little bit of like pouchy gear. I'm hoping that'll be enough. And then of course we have the famous piece of sidewalk. Fun fact, this piece of sidewalk has been used for every Overwatch hero to record their footsteps. So rather than going outside where it's a loud environment and maybe not ideal to recording, we record footsteps here with this piece of sidewalk. So we're about to add Wind Dasher to the roster of footsteps that have used this iconic block. Maybe it'll be these boots, maybe it'll be these. These are the only leather shoes that we had, or that my wife had at home. So we're gonna try them all, see what sticks.
Nice.
Cool.
Let's get it.
Oh, and we have our trusty sidekick. Dive in. All right, let's get
go.
this started.
Maybe just a little further back from the mic because I'm hearing a little bit of wind.
Oh yeah? Okay. Run. Jump. So Nick provided these awesome, I'm having a brain fart, for the cape flaps that are going to be really important to Wind Dashers. Wow, I really should have. Let's just do like 5, like just do
whatever.
Do random. You never know. You never know, dude.
Could be gold.
I wanted to generate a lot of like whooshy source that I could use across her kit, and so I went digging through the bottom of my toolbox and just got random objects like nuts and bolts, and I tied them to dental floss and I swung them around, and the idea was swinging around an object that has a hole in it kind of cuts through the air in an interesting way where it's going to generate some kind of pitch. So it's almost like the less aerodynamic an object is, the more interesting of a whoosh it's going to make. So those I didn't really use in one particular place. I processed those recordings in different ways, and they kind of went all over the kit. After that was trying to define the sound of the crossbow. And you might be thinking, hey, why don't you go record a crossbow? Well, I did. I got like a cheap one from the internet. Turns out you can buy a crossbow like on Amazon, and no one cares. Yeah, it was like $50. I'll show you what a real crossbow sounds like. Yeah, it doesn't sound like much. Very often, especially with weapons, if you go too literal with it, if you record the real thing, you have to layer it with a lot more source to make it feel interesting, powerful, to really kind of provide the fantasy of what it's like to fire that weapon. So this was no different. So let's get into the layers. So here we are in Wise, and we can take a look at all the individual layers that make up Freya's primary fire. We have a thump, dry fire, which is the actual sound of the crossbow dry firing. We have some resistance bands. We have a silenced handgun, and that added some nice heavy mech. We have a trigger sound, and we have this out blend container, which is all the stuff that makes up the tail of the sound. So this blue energy layer is actually something that Paul Lackey, he provided me with some source, and I made some whooshes out of it, and it made this nice sharp tonal layer, and that ended up being really crucial to the overall feel of the gun. All this other stuff was made with the nuts and bolts tied on dental floss. And last but not least, we have these two layers, which are essentially kick drums. So what I wanted out of this primary fire is like a 1-2 cadence. So ka-fling, ka-fling, something like that. Something that is not just like a single hit, like bam, 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 bam. I want it to be like ka-fling, ka-fling, ka-fling. And it's really quick, but it's something that you can feel more than you can hear. The reason being that I think it just sounds more interesting, and also it gives the impression that something is being propelled forward. If we scroll down a little bit, we can actually take a look at the secondary fire, which has very similar elements, but these elements were just more exaggerated. Even the timing of it, that 1-2 cadence I'm talking about, is exaggerated because the rate of fire is slower for the secondary fire. So I could take my time with it a little more. Ka-fling! You know, like I accentuate the tail a little more. The space between the first hit and the second hit is spread out a little more. Just makes it sound bigger, weightier, and more powerful. Another important thing that I've mentioned in my Venture video is how the Gunfoley grounds the weapon to make it feel tactile and real. The Gunfoley for Freya's crossbow was a combination of 3 things that I had recorded. One of them was Paul Lackey, my supervisor, brought in these World War I like reenactment rifles. I recorded those like 5 years ago, and those ended up coming handy for Freya. The second thing was this vice grip. I know it's a vice grip because it says vice grip on it. And then, so Andre, one of our hero designers, will be very happy to know that his fidget toys are in the game now. Andre is kind of the emperor of fidget toys. If you go to his desk, he just has a bunch of fidget toys laid out. He's kind of a connoisseur, if you will. And he was kind enough to give me this perhaps not safe for work fidget toy. But it's cool. It's clickety. It's clackety, and that's what we like. So yeah, those 3 elements combined, obviously with some processing and the secret sauce, really brought the gun to life in a way. First we have this clickety clackety guy. And then we have this one, which at times can resemble the bow part of the crossbow. And that's nice too. That's cool. Like, clack, clack. Dude, I'm getting so much mileage out of one jingle jangly tool. And look at that! Oh. So the Venture rubber bands actually came back for an encore. I just used them a bit different. I wanted to get the pluck of them to kind of simulate the thwippiness of, I don't know what this is like officially called on a crossbow, but this band, this cord, the sound of that slingshotting forward. Yeah, I like the...
That one really snaps the air. I think you actually had a better when you're like holding like that.
Yeah. Huh. I like the deeper, like...
Mm-hmm.
And the... So now the abilities. So both her secondary fire, which is her explosive bolt, and her ult fire projectiles, which then do kind of a swirly blue energy pre-explosion. And that was really the opportunity to define the sound of her like wind energy stuff. Thippy was a word that came up a lot working on Freja. If the way she moves, her projectiles, the way that her projectile energy swirls around, it's all very Thippy, which I don't know if it's a real word, but it's a word sound designers use a lot. Thippy. So I wanted something Thippy, so I actually bought a bullwhip and had a whole recording session with that. Not so much the crack of it, like whoosh, but the actual like swirling it around and the whippiness of it. Bullwhips sound so good, dude, because they taper from like a thicker circumference to thinner, and there's like sections of it where there's like different materials tied to it. I don't really know how to explain it that well, but all of that makes a whoosh that is like in different pitches. It's almost like you can record a whoosh that has like harmonics built into it. They sound amazing. Got the whip in the Foley room. Gonna swirl it above my head and try not to whip Brian. Maybe tilt the left channel up towards it. Sorry. I feel like I put you in a precarious situation.
No, you're good.
Because I was like, "Oh, it sounds good. I'm gonna try to like lower it."
You jerk.
Sound good?
Oh yeah. You're sometimes hitting the black curtain behind.
Yeah. I'm gonna put a hat on you.
That'll save me.
Just to give you some extra like face protection.
For sure.
So we're gonna be aiming there with like the Holy, it got me in the neck.
Oh god. Move the arm.
And then it went fluck.
We know what we're doing.
You know what we're doing. We're professionals. Honestly, without the whip is kind of cool. I'm gonna do it that direction. I'm gonna go crazy.
Those are cool.
So for that swirly stuff, I used the bullwhip recordings and chopped up the recordings, reversed some of them, made it so they kind of flow into each other. So it almost has like an implosion kind of feeling. It's like that same source is used in the ult projectile, because the ult projectile is similar in that it swirls around, but it has a bit of a different flavor. It's a bigger effect. And it's slower, it's more windy. So that one I went with more kind of a stormy, windy feel. And I put a lot more emphasis in the bola actually twisting in on itself. And that sound is also from the bullwhip, though.